Good morning.
Good morning.
The time is now 10:03, and I will be calling the October 16th meeting, Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following board members with us today: Commissioner Washington,
Good morning.
Commissioner Giraldo,
Good morning.
and for the record, I am Chairman Darrell Barnes. We will now move forward to the business at hand. Please note that the deadline for all participation, pre-registration, and for all submission of materials and exhibits was due 12 noon on Tuesday before the Planning Board meeting. We will now move on with today's agenda. The order of cases for today's meeting is as follows. Items 1, 2, 3 was removed, 4, 5, 6, 7 was removed, 8, and 9. The first item on the agenda is item 1, resolution of appreciation for retirees Wanda Ramos, Philip Wilson, Sherelle Markle, and Everett Thompson. Is there a motion?
Move up. You have something else? No, you're okay.
Before we make a motion on the resolutions, I have a couple highlights of each of them. The first one is Wanda Ramos, retiring with 35 years of service on October 31st, 2025. As Deputy Director of Recreation and Leisure Services, Wanda led and administered a comprehensive recreation and leisure service program through 5 divisions. Wanda earned numerous promotions and served in leadership and management roles, including Division Chief and Program Superintendent in the Central Area, Community Supervisor. Wanda received numerous awards and honors, including a governor's citation from the state of Maryland for her leadership in the Latino, immigrant, and Puerto Rican community. Supreme Partnership Award from the Prince George's County Board of Education. Prince George's County Executive Choice Award for Women's History Month. Wanda served as an MNC PPC representative on external committees and community projects. She was a proud member of the Maryland Recreation and Park Association and the National Recreation and Park Association, where she volunteered on the award committee and conference program committee. Wanda will be greatly missed by her colleagues and many friends both in the commission, Prince George's County, and the National Capital Region, and throughout the state of Maryland. Please put your hands together and while you're in person and virtually for Wanda Ramos. And I believe Ms. Ramos is online, so Wanda, we appreciate you, we love you, and we hate to see you leave. The next highlight is Philip Wilson.
But she's there.
She's on.
Wanda, there we are.
Just want to say thank you. It's bittersweet, but it's my time now. So I'm looking forward to being retired, and don't be surprised that I'll be involved in community organizations and continue to do the work to serve the community in Prince George's County. So thank you for that, for your resolution and for embarrassing me all the time. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wish you well, Wanda.
Yep.
Thank you.
I hate to see you go, Wanda. You've been a wonderful asset to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and particularly to the Latino community that you always strove for so hard.
Thank you.
The next up is Philip Wilson. Philip Wilson is retiring with more than 35 years of service. Philip served in several positions, including Assistant Parks Division Chief, Landscape Supervisor 2, Parks Maintenance Leader 2, Park Maintenance Leader 1. Philip was responsible for park maintenance and beautification activities in various historical and county government locations. Philip coordinated maintenance, design layouts, and installed a wide variety of plant materials and landscape projects, and assisted with gorgeous Prince George's cleanup and green up tree planting programs. We thank Philip for his service, and we wish him the best in his retirement. If you can, put your hands together for Mr. Philip Wilson. Next up is Sherelle Makel. Sherelle is retiring with 34 years of service within MNC PPC Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. Sherelle served in several professional positions, including Administrative Assistant 3, Senior Administrative Assistant, Principal Administrative Assistant, Office Supervisor, Administrative Supervisor. Sherelle received numerous performance awards, earned certifications, and recognition for her work. Exceptional work ethics, commitment to excellence, and dedication to the success of her department. A big thank you to Sherelle. We send her the best for her retirement. Please put your hands together for Tori. And last but not least, Everett Thompson. Everett is retiring with 37 years of service within the Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. Everett served in several professional positions, including Electrician 2 and Program Facility Aid 3, among others. Everett participated in several community initiatives, including assisting with the Winter Festival of Lights, the preparation of athletic fields, as well as acting as a work leader for trade apprentice, park maintenance crews, and electricians. We thank Everett for his service, as he will be greatly missed. If you can, put your hands together for Mr. Everett Thompson. And on that note, is there a motion for the resolution?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and I vote aye as well. The next item on the agenda is item 2, draft minutes of October 9th, 2025. We look for a motion.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and I vote aye as well. We will now move forward to the consent agenda item. Items 4B, 4D, 4E, and 4F. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, after consideration of the record for item numbers 4B, 4D, 4E, and 4F, I move adoption of staff's findings and approval of the items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendations of staff.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and I vote aye as well. We will now move on to the regular agenda items. The first item on the agenda is companion items. Item 5 and number 6, detailed site plan DSP-25006, The Promise, and item 6, departure from design standards DDS-689, The Promise. We will now hear from staff.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I'm David Meyerholtz with the Urban Design Section. Items number 5 and 6 are in support of detailed site plan DSP-25006, which requests approval of a mixed-use development containing 448 multifamily units, 396 assisted living units, 9,453 square feet of daycare uses for 150 children, and 27,128 square feet of commercial retail space. In an October 14th, 2025 memorandum to the Planning Board, the applicant submitted a request for a continuance of the Planning Board hearing from October 16th, 2025 to October 30th, 2025 to allow for further coordination between staff and the applicant regarding recommended conditions of approval. Urban Design staff recommend the Planning Board approve the continuance request and schedule this case for the October 30th meeting. This concludes staff's presentation, and thank you very much.
Are there any questions from the Planning Board?
No questions.
Seeing none, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Ms. Tracy.
Good morning, Chairman Barnes and members of the Planning Board and staff. For the record, my name is Tracy Scudder. I'm with the Law Office of Reese Broom, with offices located at 163 Waterfront Street at the National Harbor. This morning, I am here on behalf of the applicant and my clients, Determined Seed LLC and Petra Development. We are in agreement with the continuance to October 30th, and we look forward to coming back before you soon for the evidentiary hearing. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the Planning Board for the applicant's attorney?
No.
I don't see anyone that is signed up in opposition. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request to continue DSP-25006 and companion DDS to Planning Board hearing date of October 30th, 2025.
Second?
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it.
Thank you again.
I vote aye as well. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, item number 8. Office of the Planning Director, Legislative Drafting Request, LDR-153-2025. We will now hear from Ms. Gomez.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Board. This is Natalia Gomez with the Planning Department, the Planning Director's Office. Item I is LDR 153-2025. Can we move to the next slide, please? LDR 153-2025 proposes to create a flagship project overlay zone to permit the redevelopment of large, unique potential sites of high importance in the county through a streamlined process. The bill aligns with the county executive's Elevate Prince George initiative, which aims to reduce regulatory burdens on investment. Last 2 weeks ago, I came with you to present the subdivision part of this overlay proposal. Today, I'm presenting you the zoning bill for this overlay. In the bottom of the slide, I included what the zoning ordinance defines as an overlay, which is a superimposed over portion of one or more underlying base zones with the intent of supplementing generally applicable development regulations with additional development regulations that address special area-specific conditions, features, or plans while maintaining the character and purpose of the underlying zones. Next slide, please. On the right side of the slide, you can see the proposed language in the bill. It establishes geographic parameters by which the zone would applicably be applied through approval of this bill. It is our understanding that the zone can be applied to sites identified by the county executives at Six Flags, Northwest Stadium, and Morgan Boulevard Metro Local Transit Center, as shown in the map in the left. Next slide, please. LDR 153 would permit only uses that are appropriate for a signature redevelopment site in the county, noting that 2 of the 3 sites are walking distance to transit. Permitted uses include mainly recreation and entertainment uses, while industrial uses, single-family detached housing, and other automobile-dependent uses would be prohibited in this zone. The proposed bill also will allow rough grading of a site under narrow circumstances, will allow projects that meet all requirements of the county code to proceed directly to permit. Essentially, it will be a by right development. It will also apply development standards of the transit-oriented activity center zones to the review of permits and does not allow variances to any of those standards. It will also allow the applicants the option of proceeding through customary site plan review. What that means is if they want to just go through the normal detailed site plans process, they are allowed to. It will carry forward and modify certain use-specific standards and require that all new street and streetscapes to be constructed to the county's new urban street design standards. Next slide, please. This slide shows some of the items I already referred, such as the FPO zone addresses unique aspects of potential redevelopment projects that are not fully covered by the regulations for the TAC, LCD, AR, LTOC, LTOE zones respectively. The intent of LDR 153-2025 is to permit the redevelopment of large, unique potential sites of high importance in the county through a streamlined process, as I mentioned before. The bill aligns with the county executives again, and this streamlined process is not entirely new. In fact, the zoning ordinance already includes expedited review procedures for transit-oriented developments, and that is in section 27-3619C of the zoning ordinance. Any potential developments in the qualified sites that we saw in the map should focus on high-quality, environmentally sensitive, sustainable, and regionally beneficial mixed-use projects that include certain uses permitted by right. Next slide. So the department used the language in the bill to apply the overlay using the geographic parameters that were given, and we encountered some challenges. So we are proposing additional language that we think it would clarify certain parts of the bill, particularly single ownership and when parcels are separated by the right-of-way, as well as the definition of tract of contiguous lands, and whether certain uses should be permitted by right or by special exception. Here, and that's the proposed amendments that we are adding to the bill. So what we tried running another map with this proposed bill, and we actually were able to pull out the 3 sites that are intended for this bill, which are the flagship, Six Flags, the stadium, and the Morgan Boulevard. Next slide, please.
What was the third one you mentioned?
Morgan Boulevard.
Oh, Morgan
Metro station.
Boulevard, yeah.
So with this concise presentation, the planning department recommends the planning board to support LDR 153 with the amendments presented here and in the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
Are there any questions from the planning board?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. So having identified the 3 sites that currently would be eligible for this zone, are there other sites that are potentially eligible, and if so, who makes that call?
So right now, there were only 3 sites that were potentially eligible. This was a bill that was initiated by the county executives, and the sites were suggested by their office. So if there are new sites, that will be in a coordination with the planning department, the county executives, and the council.
Okay, but what criteria is being used? The only thing I've seen by way of criteria is strategic sites. And so strategic is essentially relevant.
So by strategic sites, it's large sites that are in a risk of changing use, that are actually empty or soon to be empty, and that are in a prime location, that are strategic for future uses, in mostly entertainment uses.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Hunt?
For the record, James Hunt, Planning Director's Office. To kind of clarify here, there's hadn't been full criteria identified here. What we're looking for is direction from the county exec's office on those particular sites. And what we've been made aware of are, just like Ms. Gomez just mentioned just a few moments ago, that just these large sites that are out there, potential sites, and as they become online, let's say come online, then those sites are identified by the county executive's office, which provides a streamlining mechanism in order to get these sites developed a little bit faster through the process than what we currently have. But it would be left up to the county executive's office to make that determination on these larger locations that are throughout Prince George's County.
No,
So
no, and I
just-
understand, yeah, I understand, and I understand how the three identified sites would apply to this, and it definitely makes sense. I just worry about precedent and lack of criteria, because this is essentially codifying a process for these three sites and then other sites unknown,
Unknown, correct. Yeah.
which, you know, just, I think just from a public engagement perspective, it's just still a little, and I'm all for streamlining, for the record, so. That's it.
Thank you. My favorite. I believe that there are a couple of people that are in opposition of this that are here to speak. Is Cheryl Core here? Is Cheryl Core online or present?
Yeah, she's online.
You're on mute.
Me?
Barely.
We now. Ms. Core,
Can you hear me now?
I like to smile.
Okay. You get a new computer, but can you hear me now, Chairman?
I hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. As you may or may not know, most of the time that I've appeared before this body is to support transit-oriented development and transit-oriented planning, like the West Hyattsville sector plan. We're very excited for the Blue Line sector plan to move forward, but we have to. We're here today to express our concern for this legislation. Now, what the staff showed is different than the staff report and the legislation that I reviewed on Tuesday of this day before quickly submitting my testimony. So I'm a little bit confused about that because on the one hand, I'd say we have 2 points. One is we don't understand why we can't retool or look at the planned development zone approach, which is part of the new zoning code, and see if we can make that work better and be more predictable and more streamlined to address the need for this kind of redevelopment that's intended through this legislation. And so that would be our first point: is why aren't we using planned development as our approach? And if it's not adequate, how can we ensure that it is adequate? It's really because we're deeply concerned about expediting quality development around our metro stations inside the Beltway communities and designated centers around metro stations. And then secondly, the agricultural residential zone is identified in the legislation, was identified in the staff report that I reviewed on Tuesday. It does not show up on the map that the staff just presented now. We have lots of concerns about including agricultural residential zone properties. So if the legislation has been revised since the comment period closed or submission period closed on Tuesday, I'm interested to see that change, which only showed the 3 sites, not the additional agricultural zone sites, which were mostly scattered about in far-flung corners of District 9, Councilmanic District 9. And so we need to review whatever's been revised since Tuesday, but we continue to be concerned about just kind of opening up, throwing out process in order to just bring in agricultural zone for some kind of large-scale development. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Ms. Core. Jeffrey Collins.
Good morning, Chairman Barnes, Commissioners Geraldo and Washington. My name is Jeffrey Collins, and I serve as Vice Chair of the Prince George's Sierra Club. I'm here to speak in opposition to the flagship project overlay zone legislation. LDR 153-2025, while presented as a springboard to speed up the review and approval of major regional developments like Six Flags, the Commander Stadium, Morgan Boulevard, and other projects identified by our county executive, erodes oversight presenting significant risk. The current legislation severely limits input from the county council, the public, and the planning board, granting the county executive unprecedented, unchecked authority over key development decisions, bypassing crucial checks and balances for responsible growth. Our county executive's prioritization of a swift development process over crucial planning endangers both community engagement and environmental safeguards. With that said, detailed site plans need to be added back into the review process for greater community engagement and planning board review. A mandate also needs to be added to the pre-application neighborhood meeting for the applicant to pay attention to and respond to citizen concerns. Enforcement mechanisms need to be added to the mitigation agreement to include environmental impacts and clean energy standards. The county council and the public must be added as parties to amend the mitigation agreement to provide transparency and meaningful input. Finally, the loophole needs to be closed to limit flagship sites to transit-oriented areas only. So the core concern is an erosion of democratic oversight. So, frankly, why would the county council willingly support this legislation that effectively diminishes its role as a branch of the government, diminishing its power and influence over the development and planning processes, and ceding that authority to the county executive? This imbalance is ill-advised and is detrimental to the long-term well-being of our community. In closing, we urge the Planning Board to reconsider the severe negative consequences of this legislation. Flagship project zone mitigation agreements must include substantial public benefits that protect our land, water, air, and climate.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Is Maureen Fine here?
Thank you, Chairman Barnes and Planning Board members. Thank you for letting me be here today. I'm representing the Western Shore Conservancy, which is a local organization that was founded in 1993 to save Beltwoods, a portion of which is designated as a national natural landmark and is also one of the last stands of old-growth hardwood forest on the Atlantic coastal plain. So we are opposed to any development on the Six Flags site without the strictest site plans and widespread public input. From 1993 to 1995, to save Beltwoods, it took so many people, thousands of people, from elementary school children who sent in nickels and dimes, to churches, to writers, to musicians, to the Nature Conservancy, the Trust for Public Land. I mean, before the state took over, was handed the deed, it took a lot of people to make this happen. And what happens at Six Flags is going to either detract or enhance the what is going on at the Beltwoods wildlands. So this is not something that can be that doesn't require input. We need conservation scientists. We need information on how to make whatever happens at Six Flags to help it preserve the biodiversity that occurs. Beltwoods is like one of the foremost stopovers for neotropical migrants. There are rare and threatened plants and animals that are there, and I'm talking about, all the little microinvertebrates. So we need to have input. I think it's really unfortunate. I feel like the staff report talks about transformative development and ensures that any regulated environmental features will not be impacted. Well, we have to do more than that. I know the Six Flags site has wetlands of state concern. It has areas of forested land. I haven't been there in a long time, but we need to really be transformative and decide that we are going to protect this rare and unique privilege that we have in Prince George's County to have Beltwoods, and we need to be transformative in protecting it, adding buffers, whatever it takes to be sure that it gets the protection it needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Norman Rivera. Okay, thank you for that. Is Greg Smith online?
I saw him admitted.
Hi, yes, I am. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Okey doke. Good morning, Commissioners. Greg Smith. I respectfully urge you to oppose LDR 153-2025, and where they do not conflict with my own, I adopt by reference the excellent detailed comments submitted by the Greater Capitol Heights, the Pruma Corporation, the Coalition for Smarter Growth, the Route 202 Coalition, and other parties. I especially recommend the comments submitted by Greater Capitol Heights Improvement Corporation. This bill is yet another proposal to, quote, streamline a review process that too often is plagued by lack of fundamental transparency, and that already is challenging for residents, community organizations, and nonprofits to submit substantive informed comments. While we all want to see Prince George's County succeed and to see blighted sites or about to be emptied sites redeveloped to serve the public interest, this bill would undermine the public's right and ability to provide the planning board, the zoning hearing examiner, and district council with meaningful comments, and for those bodies to understand and weigh the potential impacts of projects. Large projects could bring significant negative impacts to communities, public health, public services, and infrastructure, and the environment. I share Commissioner Washington's concern about the lack of clarity about how many sites would be or could be eligible for this extraordinary fast tracking. It's not streamlining, it's fast tracking. The map provided by planning staff shows scores of potentially eligible sites, the majority of which are nowhere near existing or reasonably anticipated rail traffic, transit, or even near served by robust bus transit. And many or most of the sites are on properties or greenfield sites. I've been before the planning board numerous times on at least 3 different cases, and in those cases, it's been there have been instances where staff have struggled or failed to be able to follow and enforce a law, including procedural law, for community groups to be able to follow and follow what the law says and provide informed comments.
Mr. Smith, your time is now up. Would you like to conclude?
Yes, I would. The new zoning ordinance has already gotten rid of conceptual site plans. This bill would get rid of detailed site plans. If a property isn't subject to a preliminary plan of subdivision by law, there would be no review of these major review of these potentially massive high impact projects. This is the wrong direction for the county to take. And I want to trust the planning board wants to get the best information and analysis it can about these projects. We all care about Prince George's County. Thank you for that extra 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Jeanette Gingle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Janet Gingold, and I live within a mile of Six Flags property. I'm here because healthy people need a healthy environment, and I want to be sure that the record reflects community concern about protecting our natural resources, addressing climate change, and improving climate readiness while flagship projects are developed at Six Flags and elsewhere. Also, I want to make sure that the Maryland State Wildlands at Belt Woods, a designated special conservation area, gets the careful protection it requires as redevelopment occurs next door at Six Flags. I oppose LDR 1532025 as written because it fails to put in place necessary mechanisms for community engagement, transparent oversight, environmental protection, and fair enforcement of regulations. Faster isn't necessarily better. It's not at all clear that the flagship project overlay zone will provide better outcomes than the existing planned development zone. With a lack of guardrails and comprehensive planning, we could end up with underutilized facilities, stranded assets, and unmitigated adverse impacts. Please insist that new flagship projects showcase best practices for sustainability. This legislation misses an opportunity to require mitigation for environmental impacts. Specified mitigation options should include public benefits that increase our community resilience and advance climate goals. Let's see resilient, clean, renewable energy systems, improved building energy performance, safe and reliable car-free transportation options, enhanced tree canopy and green infrastructure, state-of-the-art stormwater management, and a robust network of neighborhood resilience hubs. Changing the base zone of Six Flags from LCD to TACE would allow for more deforestation and more auto-dependent development that would impede realization of climate goals, change the character of nearby neighborhoods, and impact important natural areas, both next door at Belt Woods and downstream at Watkins Park. Please develop a fair and transparent process for comprehensively planned, sustainable, low-impact flagship projects that will truly help Prince George's County meet the challenges of the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Melissa Schwarzguth. Thank you, Joe.
Hello, Melissa Schweisguth. I District 2 in Hyattsville. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and welcome Chairman Barnes. I think this is the first meeting I've spoken at where you're here. So I also oppose LDR 153. My main concern is again that we're looking at very large sites, 200 acre minimum plus potentially 50 acres adjacent if those are TAC or sorry, if those are LTO. A large amount of land. With that amount, with the scale of this project, we should not be cutting, environmental, social, these other checks and balances, and we should. I think we're all for streamlining, but what we're talking about here is fast tracking and cutting corners, and that's very much a concern to me. So again, anything of the scale just need to be much more cautious. Very concerned about eliminating the DSP, which eliminates a critical opportunity for public input on the impacts of the proposed development, particularly around those local communities, ensuring that they have the full opportunity to weigh in on things that will impact them. Please do not support stripping away the DSP and the right to public participation. I'm very concerned, especially about allowing FPOs to be considered TAC, as the previous speaker, Ms. Gingold, already mentioned. Again, that there, and as Mr. Smith has discussed, many of these are quite far away from any activity center right now, any concentration. Some of the proposed zones are, you would just be creating sprawl by allowing them to be TAC, and I'm extremely concerned about the proposal to bring adjacent zones and allow those to be adjacent LTO and transit areas to be brought into the FPO, which would effectively change them to TAC. And again, then you're just creating more sprawl. The county has done a good job creating a very thoughtful zoning ordinance. We have a master plan. We're looking at good development, at transit-oriented development, at reducing sprawl, and this entire LDR really counters that. So yes, we do want these sites developed, but we want them developed in an environmentally sensitive way that also, that does bring us good revenue and in a way that supports good development and smart growth. So especially with these large sites, please do not allow us to cut corners and fast track, that then we're doing poor development that lasts for generations more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions of the planning board?
I have none.
Seeing none, this hearing is now closed. Board members, any?
Not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, well, let me thank staff first for your thoughtful comments, as well as thanking the citizens for your input. With that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff's report, and I recommend that we take no position on LDR-153-2025. However, would ask staff to include their proposed amendments in the transmittal to the County Council.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, item number 9. Office of the Planning Director Legislative Drafting Request LDR 149-2025. We will now hear from staff. My favorite, Ms. Gomez.
The one and only. Good morning again. I'm going to present Natalia Gomez for the record, LDR 149-2025. Please, next slide, please. So this bill proposes to authorize simultaneous submission of certain development applications within the same parcel pursuant to subtitles 27, 24, 25, and 32 of the County Code, and generally streamlining the development review of the process to foster greater economic growth in the country. Yeah, you can move to the next one. Thank you. LDR proposes to amend Section 27-3403, which describes the application submittal procedures. Here is the language proposed by the sponsor, which essentially, as I mentioned, proposes that applications from different subtitles can be submitted at the same time. Next slide, please. As interpreted by the Planning Department, this proposed legislation appears to be potentially duplicative of existing provisions already codified in the zoning ordinance. Specifically, the simultaneous processing of application is currently authorized and adequately addressed under Section 27-3403E2, which determines the submittal requirements for each application type. It is highlighted, the part that we think is duplicative is highlighted here in the slide. And in addition, there are applications that are a prerequisite from others. And as a matter of example, the review and approval of natural resource inventory and a stormwater management concept plan are necessary in order to inform the way the development should be laid out and approved before an application or approval of a preliminary plan of subdivision. And submitting them at the same time could be could actually be more time costly for the applicant. Next slide, please. The department recommends that the bill specify those applications under Subtitle 25 and Subtitle 25 that can be filed simultaneously, as the approval of certain application is often a prerequisite for the initiation of others in the development process. This is particularly important in cases where review and approval of one application may inform or impact the decisions made in connection with the subsequent applications. Certain applications governed by the reference subtitles are subject to review, comment, and enforcement by multiple county agencies, each agency which separate statutory responsibilities. Accordingly, the department recommends that all relevant review and permitting agencies be engaged in the legislative process. This is because the bill is calling other subtitles other than Subtitle 27. We consider that their participation would provide valuable insight into the operational impacts of this bill and would help identify opportunities to streamline interagency coordination in a manner that is consistent with the legislation, with what the bill sponsor actually intends here. In line with the second bullet here, while the proposed amendment seeks to affect changes to the zoning ordinance under subtitle 27 by requiring the simultaneous submittal of applications, it is important to note that corresponding amendments to subtitle 24, 25, and 32 would be necessary to ensure consistency. In other words, they would need to actually draft bills for other subtitles as well. Since certain provisions within these subtitles would fall outside our jurisdiction, it may require coordination again with other county agencies. Next slide, please. So the Planning Department recommends that the proposed legislation be held at the moment to allow for necessary interagency coordination, specifically to identify which application types are appropriate for concurrent review. As I mentioned, not all of them would be possible. To analyze which portions of the existing process are responsible for the most significant delays, and to determine the most effective steps in advancing a more efficient and equitable development review framework. This is because we understand that the intent of the bill is, again, as 153, is a streamlined processes. But we think that this needs a little bit more of work, especially interagency coordination. And next slide, please. And with that, well, the department recommends the planning board adopt our findings and take no position on the LDR 149. Thank you.
Are there any questions of the planning board?
I have none.
Seeing none, there are a couple of folks that have signed up to speak. Greg Smith.
Hear me?
Hear you now.
Okay, great. Had to find the unmute button. Good morning again. I'm Greg Smith. I respectfully urge you to oppose LDR 149/2025. This bill would be a great way to impose additional stress on already overburdened agency review staff and multiple agencies, to undermine competent agency review, and undermine the public's right and ability to provide the agencies, the planning board, the zoning hearing examiner, and the district council with robust comments, information, and analysis. It would also be a great way to create administrative and judicial train wrecks where damaging projects advance through flawed decisions only to be found to be unlawful or to have been approved through illegal processes. I can speak with deep knowledge about one such case, Suckers Point in Hyattsville, where that was actually fast-tracked by the agencies, even though the applicant didn't have certain required approvals, and even though we had presented volumes of evidence that the applicant had been violating county, state, and federal environmental laws while having a project approved by the planning board and the district council. Just as a point of information, we hear all this talk about the need for streamlining, and there may be need for certain targeted strategic surgical streamlining, but I've done, like I said, I've done environmental work for 40 years at the county, state, and federal level, and streamlining is always a cry, even when there's no evidence to support the premise that it's needed. And just a point of, if you look at the county's development pipeline dashboard, this planning department's dashboard, you will see that as of August 2024, there were 206 active projects, nearly 49,000 approved but not built residential units, and roughly 39 million square feet of approved but not built non-residential space. Projects are being approved, they're not being built. It's not a question of approvals not being granted. In fact, I think some approvals that are granted should never have been granted for projects that never should have seen the light of day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is Melissa Schweisguth available?
Yes, hello. Melissa Schweisguth, District 2, Hyattsville. I just wanted to be quite brief. I appreciate the staff report, and I just ask that you adopt the staff report and those those recommendations. Really, this just needs to go back to the drawing board and be much more clear. Right now, it's very ambiguous about which applications. Again, are we going to allow the PPS and the DSP to be contiguous, or are we just talking about some of these applications, across, again, the NRI and the the stormwater management concept, and putting those in with a PPS, again, it's a little confusing. And so therefore the implications for staff load, for phasing things are not clear. And again, if many of these things still already have dependencies, then how is it really a change or a streamlining if you're allowed to submit them together? Is there going to be a push to reduce the review timelines and the approval timelines that's adding stress on our staff that are already taxed, and that's adding stress on the planning board, which already has pretty large packed agendas? So the implications of this just need to be more clear, and that will come again by the bill sponsor providing more detail, as the staff noted, about which applications are we proposing to be simultaneous. So it just really can't be approved or moved forward until you have that clarity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I believe Mr. Norman Rivera is not present. That concludes the hearing. Are there any questions? And if not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and take no position on LDR-149-2025.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. I vote aye as well. This concludes all items on today's agenda. Thank you all so much for coming out. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.